welcome to Founderology Built to Break Through. Today, I am excited about our founders on this session because we are going to talk about starting out as a franchisee, taking a left turn with a pizza concept, and then making the amazing right turn, flying into a beautiful hot chicken concept and a new burger concept. My name is Kathleen Wood, and I am the founder of Kathleen Wood Partners, a growth strategy firm dedicated to helping founders unlock their success and potential through strategic planning, brand optimization, and leadership development. I'm also the co-host of the Founderology Growth Summit, the only event for visionary restaurant founders to gather together for 2.5 days to collaborate, to exchange, to network, and to get the inside track to how to accelerate their business. And as I mentioned earlier, I am so excited to welcome Brandon and Chantel, the co-founders of Urban Bird Hot Chicken and my other favorite, Bun Slut, to Founderology Breakthrough. Brandon and Chantel, welcome to Founderology.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
excited
you.
to be
It's a
on.
pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, and congratulations to you on all your success. And as we all know, success is a journey that has not only great high moments in it, and it also has some other moments in it that become a little bit more challenging, right? And at the Founderology podcast, we're starting to talk about that one moment that we call being stuck in the middle. When you're too big to be small and you're too small to be big and you're stuck. And staying there just means you're grinding it out, grinding it out, grinding it out. But making critical decisions means that you're going from where you are to ultimately where you want to be. And one of the things that has impressed me so much about your journey is that you have made a lot of critical decisions along the way. So I'm excited to dive in on those today. Before we do that, though, can you give just a little bit of background about, your journey to Urban Bird and then to Bun Slut?
Yeah, so, this, as you mentioned, it started out with a pizza concept. So we started a pizza franchise that it seemed like it was going to be a great success, and it ended up not being for everybody that signed on. So we closed that in December of 2018. It was about a 3,500 square foot spot, about $15,000 a month. We had a few Wingstop franchises at the time, so we were able to kind of support the payment, but after paying all that, it was very tight with everything. So, we had a 10-year lease. We had only been in that thing like a little over a year, so had 9 years left on the lease. So we needed to figure something out. We were trying to find a tenant. We didn't know what to do. The last thing we were going to do is walk away from a lease and have that, we don't want to default, right? So, our street credit is everything. So about a year went by, we still hadn't figured it out. It was very stressful. I'll back it up a little bit. About a year before that, we had went on a convention to Las Vegas and had hot chicken. It was a place called Brooksy Chicken and Waffles that I've seen in restaurant news. And I love chicken and waffles, so we were about to go into a casino, and we were there for a convention, and we just went and had like a little dinner break. And I'm like, let's go into this chicken and waffle place. And they had this limited time thing called a hot chicken sandwich. And I'm like, oh, I love spicy. Let's just get that. So we got this hot chicken sandwich and split it. And I'm like, this is like the best thing I've ever had, right? So when we came back to Houston, I was really struggling finding hot chicken. I didn't even know it was called a Nashville style hot chicken. Didn't understand, it really wasn't a thing. But there was this little food truck here in Houston that was just, very busy and killing it. And so we would get hot chicken from there. So for this, 1 year later, we're stuck in this lease, and I'm driving past the shopping center, and a few doors down from our pizza place, there's a Tom and Chi franchise that went out of business. And I was like, man, if I could just had that space, it's got like 2 hoods, pretty much anybody could do anything, any kind of restaurant. I was like, if I had that space, I could come up with some, little concept and sell it and get out of this lease. So my first idea was like, maybe I could send the landlord a message like to let me take over and do something different. And then I could sell it and get out of the lease and just focus on Wingstop. So the first thing that popped in my mind, I sent the landlord a message by text. I said, hey, you should let us switch spaces and open up a hot chicken restaurant. There was no name at the time. And I thought he just would laugh, right? Because it was going from like it was about 1,000 square foot smaller, middle of the shopping center, very leasable, and he said, "Let's talk." And I was like, "Oh, now it's becoming real, right?" So I met with the owners of the shopping center, and they're like, "So tell us what you want to do." I'm like, "Yeah, I've got this." Hot chicken concept I've been working on, and it's really good. And they're like, well, we've never heard of hot chicken. Like, can you put together a presentation and explain to us? So I was selling this thing like we had this amazing hot chicken thing ready to go,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
I put together this PowerPoint presentation, sent it to them, and really just kind of leaned in on the success of what people were doing in California. Like there was multiple
Yeah.
concepts, and Dave's Hot Chicken and some other ones that I was just like, look at the lines. These guys are doing really good. I think it'd be great. And they're like, well, you know how to make hot chicken? I'm like, oh yeah, we got an amazing recipe. Other than that Brooksy chicken and waffles and the little food
Right.
truck, never tasted any hot chicken. So they're like, yeah, you could do it. So immediately got to work. This was 2020, of January 2020. Started working on recipes, and I found out very quick that I wasn't as good as cooking chicken as I thought I would. So it took about 60 recipes or 60 tests to really just nail the fried chicken. Like I didn't even start on the seasonings. Right at that time, we were in the middle of that COVID hit. So when we were supposed to open around May, COVID really kind of hit in April. Uh, it took us all the way to September to get open. I mean, it was just so challenging with COVID and everything, and really just coming up with the recipes to like meet our expectations, and like this is really going to be good and worth it. So by the time we opened, I didn't want to sell it anymore. It was doing pretty good. We were one of the first restaurants to open with the dine in, where people could dine in and sit in the
Right.
restaurant.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it really took off, and the amazing part about, or the first one, it was so cheap to open. Like with Wingstop, we were doing full build out, spending over 400,000 a store, and for the second, it was my first experience with a second generation location. Like we went in, this restaurant was full of equipment that is 75% of it we can use. Um, you know, Everything was built out. There was no build out cost, so we did it very, very cheap. And
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, this could be a real business model. So shortly after that, after everybody started running out of the COVID money, a lot of good locations started becoming available, and we just started snatching them up, and they were working out. So we just kept going with it. So we have 23 locations open. We have 5 more about to open. All but 2 are second generation locations. So we're 100% debt free. We've just been able to expand off the success from that very first location, and it's just been incredible. So, I mean, going forward, the availability for second generation is getting a little tighter. It kind of comes in waves, but yeah. So on the burger place, we were actually looking for. One way we expand is not only through second generation locations from when they are going to go out of business, but also like people that are trying to sell restaurants in a space that's not working out, like an asset sale.
Right.
So I'm always searching for asset sales, but I actually met a guy trying to sell another hot chicken restaurant, and he had started a hot chicken concept, a burger concept, and a taco concept. I was interested in the burger concept, so we worked it out and we purchased that, at the beginning of last year, and that's been interesting. It's called Bun Slut. It's got an interesting name. We have 7 locations, brick and mortar, but the real value in Bun Slut has been, testing the virtual side of it. So, we've been rolling it in as a virtual concept and doing very well with that. So. Yeah.
I mean, what a journey, right? What a journey, and so many great parts of that journey. So I'm going to take a few of those parts, and we're going to talk about what were some of the critical decisions you made, and then we'll talk a little bit about, how does all that fit into your fundamental philosophies about how you want to grow your businesses, right? So if we go back to the beginning a little bit, you're a successful Wingstop franchisee, so I think I want to point that out. You have you have over 30 locations, and then you make this decision to do the pizza. So what goes into the decision-making process at that? Because a lot of times founders go, hey, I have this one concept that's doing great, let's go do another. So what goes into the decision-making process at that moment to go do pizza?
Well, we didn't have 30 locations at that time. We only
Yeah.
had six.
Oh,
So
got it.
we
Okay.
were at six locations and we were kind of stuck in the growth mode. So franchises, as they're expanding out, you kind of hit a wall, that the market kind of fills up and then you have to figure out where else you're going to grow or let sales build before they start adding more into the market. So there was a point in 2015 where we just hit a wall and it looked like this is going to be it for a while. So I really started wanting to look out and see what else there was. And we found the pizza concept. It was very different. It was a Neapolitan type pizza, more of a full service restaurant with a bar. We loved the concept. It was out of California. And it was just a way to keep moving at the time. After doing the pizza concept, success took off with Wingstop. It really started picking up for the brand. And we were able, from 2015, we opened our fifth store. And when we sold in 2023, we had up to 32 in 3 different states. So it really took off after the pizza.
Right.
So
So
we were
you have
kind of doing both for a while. Yeah.
Right. So you're doing Wingstop, and it's growing at a very rapid pace. You've got the pizza concept, right? And then you make another critical decision. So you get into like that time frame, and what makes the critical decision to say, hey, this is the path we're going on now. We've got successful Wingstops, we've got the pizza concept. What are the decisions you make at that point?
Yeah, I think ultimately our goal from the very beginning was to be part of a franchise until we can figure out how to have our own
Ah,
concept and do our own franchise, right? So my originally it was like, hey, I'm gonna get 5 of these and then I'm gonna figure out something on my own. So I've been dabbling in other restaurants the whole way. We had other pizza restaurants, we had burger restaurants, we've had other businesses, and nothing's really, they've all kind of not that been great. So we've always leaned back on but we just keep trying, and then finally we found something that worked. So after an incredible run with Wingstop, we knew that it was time to just let that go and just move forward on our own thing. So it's worked out. It was a huge risk
yeah.
letting go of what we built over 20 years, and uh, it was a very big risk, and it's worked out so far. So
Well, that's what I want to say. So I'll ask both of you this question. It's a very big decision, right? You have 20 years of success under your belt. You're doing well, right? And now you're like, like when you think about a founder, like if you're banked by like a big PE firm or something like that, and you know that you have a cushion to kind of land on, that's one decision-making process. But you have this very successful run. It could continue to be successful for you too. I'm confident of that. So when you make that decision that says, okay, we're going in on this now, what's kind of going through your mind in terms of the other decisions you're making at that point?
well, I could just tell you, I felt very confident about the concept, and I really had to sell it to Chantel, pretty much force her into it. She didn't really, she could explain how she felt about it a little better, but it was very scary for her, like, kind of letting go of the comfort zone and stepping back into the unknown. Because when we sold Wingstop, Urban Bird was still very fresh and still had a lot of ways, a lot of room to go before see the profitability and like the light at the end of the tunnel. So
Yeah,
we're really seeing that light now, but it's been a scary ride.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
Chantel, what's your point of view on this?
Well, like you said, it took a while for him to convince me that, okay, this is the right thing. It was scary. We had this, we already had, you know, um, several wing stops that were doing really well, and it was scary. And initially, when we came up with Urban Bird, it was just to basically, get out of a lease. So it was we had no plans. One day we talked about, yeah, we want to have our own business, have our own franchise, but we didn't want it. It just happened. Just like sometimes in life, things just happen unexpectedly. You just never know. You never know that you're gonna be a franchisor. Yeah, of course we wanted to, but never thought that would, happen at that moment. We like you said, the way that Urban Bird, was created was out of necessity, out of survival, out of like, what do we do? Oh my gosh, we got to figure out how to get out of the situation. We can't walk away from the lease. So it was scary. I was scared because we were doing good. We had Wingstop, and we wanted to have 100 Wingstops. That was our goal, and we wanted to have lots of different franchises under our, under our umbrella.
Yeah.
So selling Wingstop because we knew that, it would be the best thing for us so we could focus on Urban Bird, because we've had a franchise. We were the franchisee. Now we're the franchisor. That's a scary seat to be in at some point, because and I say that because we were on the other side. Wingstop was a success. We had another concept that was not a success. It went bankrupt. We didn't have a lot of, backup. So we worked, our butts off. We worked 7 days a week at sometimes 22-hour days. I'm like no sleep, just to get through the concept that that went bankrupt, the pizza concept. So Urban Bird came out of necessity, to get out of another situation. So it was scary. It was very scary because I'm like, how do we know? Like I want to make sure and when we started, building Urban Birds, it just happened so fast. We built so many in such a short period of time, because during COVID, which was a scary time for everyone, there was an opportunity there, and it disadvantaged. I mean, there's a lot of people that went out of business, and that was unfortunate. It was sad, because I know what it feels like to close a door many times in other situations, other restaurants we've had. So it's a scary thing. And at that moment, we weren't thinking franchise. Like we were just thinking, let's build this restaurant. And it was kind of like a passion project for us. This is like, we could do whatever we want. We came up with the logo, came up with our own ingredient, our own recipes, and just, we were able to focus on that. During COVID, we were building a brand. We didn't know.
Right.
We were just trying to get out of the situation. So everybody is at home dealing with things, and we're out, in this restaurant, using what was there to save money, because we didn't have this excessive money we didn't know what was going to happen. So we're both, very creative and very passionate, and the other pizza concept, we fell in love with it because of the ingredients, the quality, and just like Wingstop, they were all very, the food was just, very important to us. And so the other restaurant, it was just a scary thing for us to okay, we're just going to do this, because so being on the other side in the franchisor seat, it's different, because I saw what people went through. I knew a lot of the franchisees that lost so much of their savings, their homes. This company went bankrupt, and our passion is to make sure that, when we decided to franchise, we knew this was something that would be really good for people and provide a lifestyle. And we wanted to make sure, before we even thought about becoming a franchise, by building all these stores and all these models in all these different markets, and we were able to do it for not, I mean, I don't want to say half, but less than half. I mean, we went into second generation spaces. We bought, used equipment. And so it was important for us to make sure that we build something that people can actually, scale and provide income, for their family. And we knew, because we built several of these stores. So it was very scary for me to just say goodbye.
Yeah, it's so fast, but that really is the ultimate stuck moment, right? Stuck at the moment, right? Because you're going out of Wingstop, you're going into something very new, right? And sometimes founders can get stuck right there, but it sounds like you and Brandon just continued to move forward, part out of necessity, but also part out of your passion. And it also sounds like a thread that pulls through since the beginning is both of your commitment to building great businesses, investing in growth and creating opportunities for people. And that seems to carry with you from the Wingstop to when you take the left turn with pizza, but then you come flying back out with Urban Bird. It seems like those kind of principles were there with you that helped you kind of make some of those decisions. Would that be, am I
Yeah,
picking that up in the right way?
no, and I was very attached to Wingstop. I love Wingstop. My aunt and uncle created it. I saw them create the brand in their backyard. I watched them,
Wow,
and I was
so
like
cool.
so excited. You know, we were very young when we bought our first, and then shortly after, a few months, we bought our second. And so it was like we love the restaurant business, and we loved Wingstop. We just
Yeah,
reached a point where we had to make a choice, and it's like that
yeah,
stuck moment. Like, what do we do? Okay,
yeah,
it was scary because it's not just scary, but I didn't want to let go of Wingstop. I loved Wingstop. I loved our business. There was just we worked so hard and we had so much fun, But when it's like we were in that franchisee seat, but now as a franchisor, it's just there's a lot more. There's a lot of infrastructure you have to build and systems and processes and just to make sure everything that foundation is solid, and that's what we're trying to do right now. Right now, we are trying to make Urban Bird a give it a solid foundation, so that
right.
we can, that we can grow and scale the brand.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. It's that old
fun.
saying that, the more control you let go of, the more control you get, right? But it's hard. You can make that same, but the emotions attached to actually letting go, that's where people get stuck most of the time is that they understand it intellectually, they can see it on the paper, they know what it's going to mean, but you still have to make that decision. And I think those are those pivot points where you're like, okay, we're going to do this now. So I am curious now that Urban Bird's up and wow, it is flying for sure, with your growth. How are you translating, your passion, your resilience, your purpose, your commitment to the brand? How are you translating that to the franchisees that you're selecting and bringing into the system?
Well, we definitely haven't won any records for selling franchises because we haven't sold one yet. But where we probably hold the world record is telling people no. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
pretty much every week we say no, right? So we're very selective. We're not in a hurry to take people on. We're looking for the right partners. We actually have a lot of areas that's closed, right? We're not selling in Houston and Austin and Dallas and San Antonio. Pretty much all those areas are closed for corporate growth because we already have stores there, and we just want to keep, we don't want to just be a franchisor. We want to have our own business. We love Urban Bird. We want to grow with corporate units as well. So, a lot of the people that know us and love the brand and want to have an Urban Bird are in those markets because that's where we're present. So it's trying to get the word out, outside of Texas is really what we're trying to do. But that's the challenge. But yeah, we're very selective, and it's just I've been saying no since we started kind of turning on the franchise last year,
Right.
and haven't, nobody's signed yet. So
Well, then you're definitely applying your passion, your resilience, your commitment to quality, and your commitment to your brand.
yeah.
There's not a lot of people that would say that, we set the record for no, but I think that setting the record for no is vastly more important than setting the record for yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. That's really, really great. So, as you have been growing, obviously you have been creating opportunities for others along the way as well. So, Brandon, what's been your commitment? When you think about like you took so much passion, 60 attempts to get the recipe right, right? And now to Chantel's point, you're putting in the systems and the processes and things to that effect. But how does that translate into the team members and the leaders you're developing with inside Urban Bird?
I think it's a constant work in progress. We're constantly having to rebuild every step, and it's like, when you have one store, you could be there all the time and make sure everything's done perfect. You start to scale, and then you start. It's like back in the days when you had a cassette tape. Somebody's like, "Hey, I recorded this song, from the radio," and you don't want to go and buy it, so you record that one off that recording. And every time, and then his friend wants a recording. So after 10 recordings, it's very diluted. So, we see the same thing happen as you scale, and you constantly have to reinvent the way you train, the way you oversee things. I know right now we're building a very good video training platform. So we've been working on that for a long time, and we're constantly recording and doing that. So it starts with, I think there's nothing better than to have people watch videos to train. We have these expectation webinars that I do, to where I go through on these PowerPoint presentations, and all the little things, just it's just getting the message across, and then staying on top of it. Inspections. We just signed up for a secret shopper program.
Oh,
It's
great.
just a constant battle of just, really there's nothing better than just getting into the stores. And Chantel is very good about doing that with our management team, and just making sure everything, stays as good as it can. Yeah, everything works. But it's like you got to keep pushing that ball, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
keep pushing it. But as soon as you stop pushing it, it's very hard to get it going again. So it's a constant battle to,
Yeah.
keep things.
And Chantel, you talk a lot about people first culture. And I think sometimes I find in my experiences that when, like Brandon, we're going to get the ops, we're going to get all this. We've got our people, our training, we're investing in our people. And then we talk about a people first culture. And I think sometimes people go, oh yeah, check people first, but they don't really understand the power of a people first culture when you're trying to grow a brand successfully, right? So can you talk a little bit about, your investment in people and your beliefs around developing people too? Because I think when people are trying to grow a business, they're like, we'll take care of that later. We'll get to that. This is very important that we do this first. But that's the engine of the whole brand. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when we, a long time ago, so when Brandon and I opened up our first store, we had, it was just us. And so when we hired people, he used to wait tables. Well, we both did. And when he managed at Saltgrass, he worked with a lot of people. And so there were guys there that, that were busboys and didn't speak any English. And so we became friends, and we brought them into the store and we worked with them. And so we spent a lot of time, working with our team, and that started then. Like when you're working and it's just you and one other guy, and you got to line out the door. Right. You spend a lot of time working, with people, and it's like this guy, and then like anyone, we all start off at a certain, we have to start somewhere. Nobody starts off at the top. But, for us, we were just like, gosh, this guy is so wonderful, and amazing. And working together, he learned he learned English, and then he was just really good. And we're like, God, this is wonderful, and he became learning English. And so we decided hey, and then we moved him up to assistant manager and then manager. And then as we grew, we just saw this opportunity to build people within the system, who start off as a cook, or a cashier, and just build them because they work with us. And we built this culture where it was just like we worked in the store with our team, and we built this relationship where it's just like we wanted to build people up. It felt good. It felt good to, have this guy that you work in the kitchen and he's cooking and we were working together, and now he's your manager running your store. And so we took that culture and we just kept we kept doing it every store. You know, it got harder. Like you said, it's hard to duplicate something. It's like making it, I love that example because it's true. Every time you add a store, it just, you have to figure out systems that eliminate as much error as possible. Like, how can I refine this so perfect that there's no way you can make any mistakes? And that's what I'm working in. You know, I work on the operations. I work in the operations with my team, and we just, right now, we're just building systems and processes, and the people that we would not be where we are, you know, without the people that
Yeah.
work for us, and the passion, you know, of from us and what we do. You know, it's they could see it, and
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, like I love people, I love food, I love providing food that's, you know, that's really amazing. So we're obsessed with food and people, and that's
Yeah.
what we're all here, you know, trying to work together and figure out life. And so I'm just I'm a people person, and I love what we do because I love the ability to be able to, you know, provide a life for somebody, and then to help them grow to potentially manage the store or possibly own their own. And that's really great. It's like, oh, we could turn this into a franchise. We could provide an income and a lifestyle. You know, we have people that are just like, I just bought a house. It's like, that
Yeah.
feels amazing, you know. And
Yeah.
if I talk too much about it, I get very emotional because
No, but
my heart
powerful.
is so involved in making sure that these operations are so good, and that, you know, that the stores can run as smooth as possible to eliminate as much errors, because it's scary. It's like, you know, I I know you can't have everything perfect, but I want everything to be so perfect, from, you know, our team, making sure we have the right person in the right place. You know, I want people that love to be there and that want to be there, you know, that they understand the opportunity and where they can go. We want to grow people. We don't want to, like, I'm going to go hire this guy, you know, over here and here. No, we want to develop people and teach people, and help grow them to hopefully, you know, own an Urban Bird one day, or manage a store, you know, or district manager and regional manager. You know, it's just, it's a beautiful thing. It's a
It
beautiful
really
thing to watch
is.
people grow and succeed, because, you know, it's just you believing in people. You know, someone believed in us. You know, my aunt and uncle believed in us and sold us a franchise at what, 21, 20. We were young. You know, it's
Right.
like, you believing in people, and
Yeah.
and that's why we keep saying no, because it's scary. It's like, we want to make sure it's the right fit. It's like getting married, you know, and you're going to have this relationship for 10 or 20 years. You want to make sure that this person has the same belief and, you know, passion that you do, and that, and most importantly, that they're going to, you know, help us, you know, grow this brand, you know, the right way, with the systems and the processes and the people first mentality, and that's our culture. So
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I totally love that. I think that's what makes the restaurant industry the restaurant industry. It's one of these few places that if you work hard and you do right and you really put you know, your effort and your passion and your purpose into it, that you can have the American dream. I mean, that's what I love about it. I also love what you're saying, what you're both saying, because it's a core belief I have that the better that the front line is treated, the better the bottom line will be. And, you know, and we see this time and time again. When we're not treating, you know, when we don't have that people first culture, we don't really have that profit, you know, mindset, you know, but the way that the culture is also a reflection in the way that the profits drive, because passionate people deliver excellence. You know, they don't have to be pushed to follow a checklist. They want to follow a checklist. And I just love what you're saying there. So completely concur. I'm also curious though, because you've had to make some other decisions. So you've got now Urban Bird going. It's successful. It is just opening one after another. And then comes the opportunity with Bun Slut. So again, you're getting another chance. And I'm just curious, you know, critical decisions again, great success is happening. What goes into the decision making to now go with Bun Slut?
I think that, you know, our ultimate goal is to own multiple concepts.
Got it.
So, whether we come up with them ourselves, which is very challenging, right? To come up with it. You may have 100 ideas and one's you're going to nail it on one, right? So to find something that's already established, that's profitable, it's rare and for sale. So luckily we because of the connection, we found it early before it hit the market. Uh, we're able to get the concept, but yeah, I mean, our ultimate goal is to have a myriad of restaurant concepts that work and that we could franchise out. So that's why we're still looking, and we always will be looking. Of course, we're not looking too fast because we can only take on so much
Yeah.
at one time. But it was the perfect size to be able to tackle and blend in with what we had going on, and it wasn't a competing brand, and we folded
Right.
it in as the virtual concept, which has just been very good. But we're still looking. We're still looking to grow the brand. Yeah, we're it's all people, right? And it like when we start with people, the whole business. We're in the people business, cooking food, right? It doesn't matter if we're cooking burgers or wings or and the menu could change, right? And they do change all the time. You look at McDonald's; it's very different now than it was in the beginning, but it's really just about service and people, and that's and that's what we see it as. So we love the industry and want to be able to have
Yeah.
so.
I am kind of curious though too, because you made so one decision is we know we're going to keep growing. We know we want multiple brands, but then you make another decision that says, hey, we just picked up Bun Slut, so we're going to make that a virtual part of Urban Bird, right? And then Chronic Fries becomes a virtual part too. So how do you make the decision to say, we're not going to pop two virtual concepts out of our existing very busy restaurants? What goes into your decision making process there?
Well, so what happened with the chronic fries, and we'll start with that one, is when we opened Urban Bird, we had our first real challenge with the chicken. So when we got a case of chicken, about 25% of it, we served jumbo tenders, and about 25% of the case were small pieces. So we really didn't know, like, we could kind of like, we served two at a time, but sometimes it would need to be three if it was the little small pieces, and it didn't look good whenever the picture showed two pieces. We just didn't know what to do, so I came up with this idea. I'm going to chop up the chicken and put it on top of fries and macaroni and cheese and bird sauce and do it like a limited time special to see,
Right,
if it
right.
would sell. And we called it the Urban Fry, and like almost immediately it became our number one seller.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah. So it got past the waste into the real, the good pieces, and it was like, okay, this could be a virtual concept because we opened during COVID, and that was kind of
Yeah.
the thing, is to like have virtual concepts. A lot of brands were doing that, so I was like, well, let's try to play off the success from this Urban Fry and build some other fries out of chicken. So we have like a barbecue mac fry, we have a Tijuana street fry, so it's basically the same thing. It's fries, macaroni and cheese, and then different flavored, chicken on top. So we launched the chronic fries, and it did well. It does very good, and we just have had that the whole time. And so when we bought Bun Slut, we weren't thinking this would be a virtual concept.
Right.
But we had one location in a college town that lost almost half the sales every time school would let out. So it's been a struggle with profitability ever since we've opened it. We've had it, over I think a year and a half, and it's just struggle with profitability because of the fluctuation in sales. So we're like, maybe we should launch Bun Slut as a virtual concept to give it some additional sales to see if it can help the business. And immediately it took it into a level of profitability and has remained profitable ever since. So
Oh my God,
it was just a
congratulations.
test, and we were like, okay, that's really good. So let's just do it with every store. So in the last, since January, we've been focused on rolling out the virtual Bun Slut at all the, stores. So some do decent, some do crazy good. And so right now it's still in what you would call test. It's new, but it's testing very, very well. So both the chronic fries and Bun Slut are pretty, relatively equal as far as as far as sales, but Bunslet's already, doing as good as Corona Fries, and it's brand new, so it's
You
been,
gotta love that. I
yeah.
mean, I love how you both go, okay, we're gonna do this, we've got this, how do we leverage this? We've got this, how can we innovate this? So that's what I really, one of the things that I pick up, and I'm sure everyone that's listening is picking up, is every time you kind of hit that kind of point in the road, you really you really continued to forge forward and figure it out as you were going. And it really, once or twice maybe it didn't go your way, but most of the time it's going your way because of your commitment, to your purpose and your people and, and your passion, right? So I was curious, and I'm sure people are now that we've been talking for a little bit here, is, as co-founders, how do you divide the roles and responsibilities up with each other?
So most of my focus right now is on, just developing the franchise, store development. So I'm the one looking for locations, managing the construction, and all that. So I'm really just focused on growth and then oversight. And Chantel is mostly focused on the operations side.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have a team that's working with you too? Like, are you the two, you two are leading the company, and then you have, I'm assuming, team that is also helping to lead and direct other functions of the company?
Absolutely. I mean, we have, your COO. We recently took on a consultant that helps with the franchise and the operations, with district managers, all that. So everything, we like, this is about hitting walls, and I can tell you that what got us to 23 stores is not what's going to get us to 46. So we're having to rebuild a little bit, and just you're constantly having to reinvent the way you do things, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the consultant's been very helpful as well with that.
I find consultants are helpful too. Yes, I would
Absolutely.
agree with you on that,
Yeah.
Brandon. I'm also just curious too, though, how have your roles evolved? So you start out, there's two, you're all working together. Now you've added more leaders to the organization, more infrastructure to the organization. What's the impact that that's had on your roles as founders of the business?
I don't think it's changed much of the role. It's from the obviously from the beginning. I was very involved in the operations side, like just putting the concept together. But after that, we started hiring people to take over that management side, and then the focus has mostly been on expansion. And then we have to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, well, now we need to catch up with operations. We doubled the size of our company last year, which is, it's very hard to just do that and everything be perfect. And so we're far from perfect. So right now we're trying to catch up and make the changes we need to get to the next level so we can continue our expansion. So I'm not stopping developing. We're still looking as we
Yeah, I love it.
have other markets we're looking in. We're looking at Corpus Christi. We're negotiating a space in there, another one in Austin. And yeah, we'd like to, on the corporate side, continue like that, minimum 5-store a year growth.
That's great. That is great. Chantel, anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, like I mean, I work in the operations, and then also, I mean, we wear several hats, right? But I mostly work in the operations in the stores with, we have a very large team, and so I work
Yeah.
with them very closely, and opening stores. I've been very busy, getting stores open. So he will find the location, and then he will work on the construction side, and then we work together, a little bit on the construction side, because I'll go in there and I'll do, I'll go in there and fine tune it, and like, okay, this and this and this and this, and we need to fix this, and then I'll go in there right, like a month before we open, and I'll do the health and inspection, the permits, get it ready, and go in there and make sure everything is what it needs to be. And then,
That is great. I
working
love
with the
that.
training team and developing the training team and systems with the training team and hiring people for the
Yeah.
training and coming up with, it's a lot. We have our son that works very closely with us, and he
That's
works, and he's in charge of the, creating training videos, and we have so many videos. We need to make a video for this and this and this and this. So, I do training videos. There's a lot right now. I mean, just this last year, between acquiring Bunslut and then, doubling in size, and then working on the infrastructure, and we're both very, very, very busy. And then he works on the locations, and so we both have our hands full. Yeah. And building for me, it's right now, we're just like trying to perfect the training just to make sure that that's the answer. Like, if we can make that foundation for training and just cover every possible thing, I mean, it's like constantly like, okay, well, this happened. Like, how can we prevent this? We got to do this, make a video and a sign, and just, for me right now, it's like, right now, I like this week, I'm like, guest experience, customer service, the right people in the right place. It's so important, and on top of, we've got 3 stores that we're going to open up in the next month. Like,
Well,
so I just drove in from San Antonio last night, like, we're just, all over the place. So
yeah.
But
it sounds like you have that path and that drive and the support. But yeah, I think when people go, we doubled the size of our company, everyone's like, oh, that's great. But they don't realize what it takes to double the size of the company while you're continuing to grow the company, while you're continuing to acquire another business. And I just think, your attitude, though, about resilience and purpose and passion are so powerful. So if there was a franchisee right now that was listening, a founder who had a franchise organization, that they were a franchisee, and they were thinking, wow, what Brandon and Chantel have done is so powerful. I want to do that too. What advice would you give that franchisee?
Well, oh gosh, I have a lot of advice. I mean, like, resilience. Like, don't stop. Like, don't get discouraged. There's walls. There's going to be a wall and another wall and a wall. That's how we've grown, through these walls and breaking down these walls.
I love that.
From the beginning, it's just like, okay, we have this problem. We're going to do this. We're going to open this. We're going to keep paying. We're going to move over to this store. We're going to open here. And then, like the fries, we have this problem. Oh, now we have urban fries, and then, like, this store is not doing well. Okay, let's put a virtual bun sled's doing really good. Like, we just keep the momentum going and just keep, problem solving. And we both love what we do so much. And it's important to love what you do. Like, not everybody can do this. It's your whole life. It's every waking hour almost. Your mind is consumed with, in a good way, it's like, what? Oh, I need to do this and that. We could figure out this. Our brains are both like, we're constantly looking and trying to come up with new ideas to fix systems, and it's a process. Just resilience, just constantly, taking down walls and coming up with other ideas and never giving up. Like, we keep pushing through, and it's exciting. We love what we do, and that's the most important thing, loving what you do, whatever it is in life. We love the restaurant business. We're obsessed with food and obsessed with people, and it's wonderful. So I would say,
terrific. Yeah. What would you say to a founder out there who, it's going well, it's going great, and then they kind of hit that divot and they need to make a pivot? What would you say to that founder who may find themselves stuck in the middle right now? And, and they don't like you were stuck too when you had the lease, the 10-year lease, you got stuck too, and you found a way. So what would you say to that founder who might be stuck right now saying, I don't know how to get from here to there. I don't know what to do from here to here. What would be your advice to that founder?
Yeah, I think to get out of any situation, right, or get to the next level, you really have to be creative. For one, you have to be willing to take risks, because for us, it's like after losing millions of dollars in the pizza place, right, and it was, almost $2 million loss, like to go and start investing and dumping money into something else requires a big tolerance for risk, right, especially when you don't have like a lot coming in. So it just has to make sense. So you always have a point in the road. Do I keep going? Am I happy with where things are at now, or do I keep pushing forward? And if I want to keep pushing forward, you start figuring it out. It all comes within the drive that you have. But if you are in this position to where like, hey, I can't figure it out, I mean, start looking outside of your circle, start pulling in consultants,
Oh,
start
that's
talking,
so good.
listen to this Founderology podcast. You know what I mean?
Thank
Like,
you, Brandon.
yes, start, make it happen, right? And that, but
Yeah.
it starts. You got to have the drive. You got to be hungry, and if you have that, you'll figure it out. You know, there's so
Oh
many
my gosh.
tools and ways to figure it out. So.
Yeah, no, it just to open mind. Like there are other people that are really good at some of the things that you may not be good at as good as you think you are, you know? And it's like, I think I need some help with this. You can't do everything. You cannot wear every hat. And sometimes that's a hard thing, is like releasing that control. This is your business. You put your heart, your soul into it, and you have this team of people that work for you that, like, you need to make sure that, like, they looked for you, you know, like, it's just, you got to make sure it works. So you're like, I'm gonna see what, you know, listening to other people, you know, that you have, surrounding yourself with people that know more than you do about certain
Yes.
things, you know what I mean, that can do things better than you can, because we you know, we can't do it all by
Yes,
ourselves,
and that's
you know. And
success, right? No one does. I mean, you two magnificently have built successful brands and companies again and again. But even you did it together, right? And then you brought more people in with you, because no one can do it on their own. It's too big to do on your own. And I think sometimes founders get into this mindset, no, I have to do everything. I can't afford to, you know, go get this person or hire this person or hire this consultant. I can't afford to do it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, do you know how much time you're spending if you were to your point, be open-minded, Chantel, right? Just be open-minded to it. Get the people in the room that are experts at what they do, so you could be an expert at what you do. It's so powerful. You know, what you've just, resilience, open-mindedness, go get the people, keep moving forward, you know, move through the brick walls, don't sit with them. I mean, these have been amazing lessons in founder leadership today. So I thank you both for sharing your journey and sharing your insights and really sharing your hard earned wisdom and experience too. So final question for you is that, you know, if you look back at all the decisions you made, what would be the one decision that you're like, wow, this decision, maybe we were a little on the fence about it, maybe we weren't, but by making this decision, this changed the trajectory of where we are today. What would be that? What would you both say would be that decision?
Um, Yeah, mine would be to send that text to the landlord. You know what I mean? Like, most people would be too embarrassed to even ask, right? So sometimes, you know, just just being stepping outside your comfort zone and just asking will get you a lot further than you ever think it will, right?
for me, I'm I don't want to we at the end of our life, we're going to all have enough things that we're going to be like, God, I wish I should have, could have, would have. I don't want that. You know, I try to minimize the amount of regrets I have. And so you know, I take chances, you know, and he helps me take more chances, you know, we get together. I'm like, but we got to think this through. And there's this and this and this and this and this and this. He's like, yeah. Like, yeah, but what if? So I just try to minimize the amount of regrets as possible, and I don't want to regret not doing or trying anything. So we both step off okay, let's do it. We're all in. All right, we could do this, you know, we just figure it out, you know, we just keep moving and just positive. And I don't know. I it it's a passion project. We love what we do. And um, yeah, you know, making that decision to call the landlord and say, hey, can we switch over here? Like, I mean, at one point we're just like, what are we going to do? We have this lease, this huge space. We're going to keep paying rent. And it's like, we kept thinking, would we turn it into something else? What can we turn it into? Maybe furniture? I don't know. We were like trying to figure it out. And then we had the chicken, and, you know, he fell in love with it and was just like super excited about this chicken, you know? And at that time, and it's just like, I was thinking, you know, our focus was the pizza place and Wingstop, right. You know? And so, and it just happened. And you know, if he wouldn't have saw that space and like, hey, can we go in there? And we did. And it just like, we just kept
Yeah.
going, and it was during a crazy time in the
Right.
world. And
Well,
so,
look, one text, I think that's the thing sometimes. People think that it's this huge decision or we had to like do all of this. And I love what you're saying. I sent the text message to the landlord and that changed the trajectory of where we are today. And sometimes it's not the biggest thing we do, but it's the best thing we do. And again, I just want to thank both of you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom. Is there one final question? If there's one piece of advice that you could give to any of our listeners out there that are grinding it out every day and trying to see if they can get to another place, what would be the one piece of advice you'd each give that person listening right now?
Stay hungry, stay educated.
Oh, that's good. Uh,
yeah, keep learning, keep learning. And like I said before, love what you do. And that's really important.
yeah,
And if you're like,
I
yeah,
love it.
just love what
I
you
love
do,
it.
and keep
I love
learning.
it. So, Brandon, Chantel, thank you again for being on the Founderology Built to Breakthrough. I think you've laid down some great wisdom and insights today. So, thank you so much. If people wanted to learn more about Urban Bird Hot Chicken or Bun Slut, where would they go to find that information out?
The Founderology podcast.
Thank you, Brandon. Available on
Yeah,
iHeart, Spotify, and YouTube.
there you go.
All right, that sounds great. And also, you've got a great website, great locations.
Yeah.
Please, if you're in the Houston, Dallas, all these great marketplaces that Brandon and Chantel talked about today, make sure you make it a stop. I know I'm going to be stopping at Arlington soon, so I'll shoot you some pictures. I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect.
And for everyone listening, wow, a lot of great real life, real solutions, real answers were provided today. Take them all in, use them as your inspiration, use them as your path, but use them to keep you motivated to build your brand to break through. And until next time, thank you all for joining us today, and we wish you nothing but great success on your path to building the next great brand to break through. Have a great day.